Leandra and Gilbert, I'm so glad you're here. And who else is here? Oh, there's Nurse Jill. Wonderful. Don't know anyone else, but I am so delighted that everyone's here. You can see I'm not outside. That was the plan. This is actually where I film. So when I teach, when I record things at my desk, I go over there. But then over here is where my other desk. So I have we call my first desk and my second desk. So it all depends on what we're recording. But I'm inside. So that was a last minute decision because we're having a thunderstorm. So you might hear thunder here in a minute, depending on how good the filter is on my phone. Can you guys hear me okay? Can someone tell me if you're able to hear me? Because I think I fixed the sound issues from last time, but I don't want to go too far without finding out. So yeah, we'll give it a second. I will keep talking until someone tells me. Oh, you can hear me. Yay. Okay, good. So today I want to talk a little bit about something interesting that happened. I was working with one of my kiddos on something, and I noticed that there was a science program and it was not written by someone with a science background. So I want to talk about that a little bit because my sister has told me the same thing a lot, and it can be very hard to figure out who has what kind of training. And this is true in so many realms of life, whether it's like my kids are both autistic, and I'm sure anyone here who's dealt with anything in that realm, you can have people who are wonderful peer counselors, you can have people who are wonderful professionals, and you can't always figure out which one's which. And in science education, it's pretty similar, that you have people with all different backgrounds, which I think it's wonderful that different people are involved in science. There are some amazing art projects out there and creative projects because people with more of that background are involved in science, and that's great. And of course, we have a need, right? We need people to teach science. My sister is a K through 8 teacher, certified teacher in a bricks and mortar regular classroom. It was her idea for me to actually do Dr. Robbins School, so I'm so glad she did. But she has to teach science, and she doesn't really have a science background because the thing is, someone with a lot of science background usually doesn't teach unless they're teaching like high school, college, medical school, something like that. And so what ends up happening is you have people who maybe don't have as much background teaching science, which again, we need them. And so this is not to diss them at all, but just to say you're going to get different kinds of information and different kinds of experiences from different people. And I really noticed this with my child because there was this chemistry experiment with baking soda and vinegar. And of course, we've all done this, right? But it came up on a summer science thing that we were doing because, of course, we do summer science things too, just like you guys. And it didn't explain anything. Like, it was like, whoa, look, it's a reaction. It's a chemical reaction. And I started looking around, and sure enough, pretty much everything out there explained it as a chemical reaction, which it is a chemical reaction. I'm totally on board with that. That is definitely a chemical reaction. I just realized I'm really low down on my screen. We can do that a little bit more. There we go. It's definitely a chemical reaction, but that's so small compared to all the stuff you can learn. And I was like, well, why are they not telling the rest of it? Why aren't we talking about like acid base equations? This is such a simple equation that actually I've done it with my kids since they were like 4 or 5. And of course, they didn't understand the whole thing, but they can understand like we start with this stuff and we have to end with the same stuff. And the equation is really simple for that particular experiment because it's just a very basic organic chemistry. It's not like super complicated. Doesn't have like ring. If you've ever seen chemistry with pictures of rings and stuff, you don't need to draw all that out to understand this one. And so you can just learn from it. You talk about solids and liquids and gases because you start with a solid and a liquid and you end up with a liquid and a gas. And in fact, you end up with carbon dioxide as one of the things. That's the bubbles, right? And so you have this like very real science that you can experience and understand. And that's what's so cool about the vinegar and baking soda. It's not because it makes a volcano. It's because we can talk about exothermic and endothermic reactions. We can take a thermometer and measure the temperature that changes. We can talk about solids, liquids, and gases and about change of temperature or change of state of matter. And why does it change state? And what makes it different states? We can talk about the actual chemical equation and the conservation of mass and the conservation of energy and all sorts of really cool things. And from there, we can really go nuts because we can talk about, okay, so if energy stays equivalent, then the energy coming into the earth has to be the same as the energy leaving the earth. But wait, what? We got our energy from the sun. So where does it go? So you start having all sorts of fun. So the reality is that there's so much we can do with just one tiny little experiment if you have a science background. And that's, again, not to diss anyone who says it's a great chemical reaction. It is a chemical reaction, but just how much can be missed if someone doesn't have that science background. And oftentimes people aren't really clear what their training is. So like I will always tell you, I have a bachelor's degree in biology and history with a minor in chemistry. I'm one class short of a minor in physics, but don't actually have that, so it doesn't count. And I went to medical school, so I'm a medical doctor, and I also did a 3-year residency in family medicine. So I have a 4-year bachelor's degree, a 4-year medical doctorate, and I have a 3-year residency in family medicine, and have been board certified in family medicine since 2009. Yeah, 2009 sounds about right. So it's a very specific set of training that I have that lets me teach those things. I am not going to try to teach you something that's not in my wheelhouse. Don't come to me to learn how to write essays. Like I actually have a really cool trick for writing essays. I did have to write a lot in school and I did a really good job, but I'm not going to teach essay writing. I might sometimes share my little trick that helps with organizing it because it got me through a lot, but I'm not going to set myself up as an English teacher. I'm not going to say I teach theology because I haven't studied theology. I'm not going to say that I'm going to teach you Latin because yes, I learned a little bit of Latin and I can certainly look up Greek and Latin roots, and I can certainly teach you Greek and Latin roots or medical Latin. I can't teach you Latin. I don't know grammar. I don't know sentence structure. A lot of my students know more Latin than me because I never learned it. And so I just know the roots that I need to be a doctor. So I'm not going to try to teach you Latin, just roots. I can do roots. So each person should be teaching what they know best. Now, if you have someone who's not teaching what they know best, totally fine. Totally fine. But you just need to know that's what you're getting. Because like I do teach my kids how to write essays. And I think for middle school level, that's totally fine. But at some point, they're going to need more than what I can do. And so as we look at different teaching, that's kind of what we're seeing. And it's interesting. I didn't expect to have all this come up with just a science program for the summer because fun summer science programs are fun, right? But there's all this hidden education, which at this point, my kids they aren't tricked anymore. They know they're learning stuff, but they enjoy it. So it's okay. But when we're doing that experiment, if you're just like, hey, that was a cool chemical experiment or a chemical reaction, that's great. They learned something. But if you can be like, oh, wait, this seems to be changing temperature. Does anyone have a thermometer? Can you go grab the thermometer? And you can check it. Now you're learning an extra thing. And so each step of it, you learn a little bit more. So that's why we designed our summer camp the way we did is, there's certainly projects out there. Like when my kids were little, I remember one of them, it was at some like science camp and they made like DNA out of Fruit Loops and marshmallows. But then I asked them what it meant and they had no idea because they just told me it was DNA. And I was like, well, what's DNA? What does it do? And they're like, it's what makes you you, I think is what they told me. I'm like, well, it's pretty good. It's a cookbook for your body. And we talked about what it actually was. And then I asked, like, why does it have this, well, it was actually a flat ladder, but I was like, it twists in real life. Why does it have this ladder shape? And they're like, I don't know. That's just what it's like. And I was like, well, actually, these rungs of the ladder are like letters of the alphabet. They're chemical letters of the alphabet. And it's actually this giant book that's made out of this long, long, long string of letters. And all of a sudden, we get this deeper understanding. So that's what I've tried to put into our summer camp is, yeah, you can just make the fun stuff. Totally fine. But if you want to take it a little bit step further, we have all that for you. So you know that's there. So if your kid asks a question and says something like, well, what is this? Or how does it work? Or why does it do that? Well, Dr. Robin has a whole lesson for you on that topic. And in general, kids enjoy my lessons. They're very calming, I'm told, too. So if your kids are crazy, I'm told you put on one of my lessons and it's like Mr. Rogers in science. That's what I've been told. My kids say I'm very calming too. I asked them the other day, like, why don't you freak out about things? They're like, well, Mom, you don't freak out about things, so why should we? And I'm like, sure. Once you're a doctor, like nothing phases you anymore because you're like, well, nobody's dead. It's fine. No blood, no bones sticking out. We're okay. So yeah, so that's how we designed that summer program. And I'm going to talk more in the future about because it's one of those things like I know, of course, medical science taught by a medical doctor, it's going to be different, right? Because I understand the whole diagnosis. But I realized people don't know that. And there was a certain art project that's super cool, not going to name names, and it was wrong. It had I love the project and the person who came up with it is absolutely brilliant and creative. And I love everything that they do. but they had inaccuracies in it. And it made me wonder about the things I don't know about. Cause like, I don't know, they make lots of really cool projects. I mean, I use their projects. They're very cool. But then it made me wonder like, okay, I found this problem in this thing I do know. Are there problems in the things I don't know? Because I'm a doctor. I know medical science. I don't know engineering. I don't know, electricity. I don't know. I mean, I know enough. I got almost a minor in college in physics, but it's not like I have that same depth of knowledge that I have of medicine. And so it's just really weird to think about. So I realized just like I don't know that stuff, people might not realize what they don't know with medical stuff. So we're going to talk about that later this summer. For now, though, summer camp. It is our second week, must be our second week of summer camp. And I think people have already gotten their prizes from last week, which is really exciting. We're going to do another prize drawing next week, the 18th, I think it is. And so that's going to be really fun because I love giving stuff away. I'm a gift person. Different people like gifts or don't like gifts. I love giving gifts. I love getting gifts. So definitely something I love to be able to do. So that's coming up next week. And then we have more surprises coming down this summer. We also are recruiting for our launch team for the printed version of the science manual. So the printed version of the science manual will be out on Amazon at some point. I don't have the dates. I'm not in charge of that, but that's going to be coming out. And we're looking for a launch team. So if you're on the launch team, you get a free book, either hardcover or paperback. I don't remember which one we're doing. I think it's a paperback, whatever it is. But it'll be full color. It'll be beautiful. And then you also, of course, get insight information. You get to find out stuff. We have special prizes for different things. And the standards are really low because, like, I don't do social media myself. Like, my team does social media, and of course, I'm here on YouTube. But that's because I was told to be here. I don't do Facebook. I don't do Instagram because it totally stresses me out. I'm not good on social media. I get so anxious. This stuff is fine because I know that like my friends are here. I love everybody who's here. And if anyone else sees it, well, you're now my friend too, right? But the rest of it stresses me out. So I don't expect people to do that. So if you're someone who's like, am I gonna have to sell stuff? Am I gonna have to? No, if you want to, I mean, of course, we're very grateful. But the only thing we really need is for people to try it out and tell us like how they're using it with their kids so we can tell other people and do a review on Amazon when it comes out so other people know how you use it. Because that's what parents really want to know is how does this fit into my life? How do you use this? Can you actually use it? Do they actually work? I mean, I never buy a cookbook until I see other reviews saying people have actually cooked the food in the cookbook. Now, I personally know that all the projects work because I literally made them and I just show them on the video so you guys see that they worked. But I personally would not be buying on Amazon unless I saw some other mom say, yeah, we did this project with our kids. Actually, Juliandra and Gilbert just sent us pictures of their digestive system models, which I've seen so many of those. So many kids have made that. And I just love it because then you have a permanent digestive system model, which I use mine for teaching because you can see the whole digestive tract in one model, which usually we don't think about the whole digestive tract, but that puts it all there in front of us. So definitely a fun, low effort, high yield thing to do this summer if anyone's interested in joining the launch team. Or if you don't want to join the launch team, you just send us pictures of what your kids are doing. We would love to feature them in our newsletter, on our social media, and you can just text Jill. And I don't know our work number because I never call it. It has like a 6030 in it, but it's in all the stuff we send out. It's in the emails, it's on the website, it's all those places. So you can just text Jill with those pictures and then we will feature your kids. So lots of fun stuff this summer. And yeah, we're almost at 15 minutes. So I need to go and you guys probably need to go too. But I am looking forward to next week when we're doing a big giveaway. And in the meantime, we'll be sending out, normal newsletter on Friday with all the stuff. We're going to be sending out the usual articles. We usually have one from me. I don't remember what it is this week. I think we did puberty last week. We might be doing good decisions this week. But all these articles from me about raising kiddos, well, especially middle school age through high school, but looking younger and older because it affects all of them. So all of that is there. Oh, and there's our email address. I do know that one. It's hello@docrobinschool.com. I do know our email address. I don't know our phone number, but you can email to us. So looking forward to next week when I see y'all back here. Have a wonderful week, everybody.